Welcome to Unshielded, the podcast where we explore the cutting edge of blockchain, data protection, and the quest for a more equitable and accessible internet. Today, we have an exciting episode. At the core of every blockchain ecosystem is a vibrant developer community, exploring use cases and building applications. We've invited some of the Midnight community to showcase the work that they're producing during recent hackathon events, where they tackled the challenge to create dApps to solve real-world problems related to data privacy and security. And I'm excited to welcome the Entropi Labs team that recently won the Midnight Hackathon at the Cardano Hack Berlin, hosted by our friends at NMaker. Welcome to the podcast, Vito. Could you give us a quick introduction for our listeners?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Anthony, for having me here. It's a true honor to be part of not only the hackathon community, but also be part of this podcast. So I'm Vito Melchionna. I'm a software developer. I'm also a stake pool operator for the Cardano ecosystem with my pool Grenada. And I'm also co-founder of Vault3, which is a token gating solution on Cardano and hopefully soon on the Midnight network as well.
Wow, so you're not short of things to do. Thank you so much for the introduction, Vito. As we mentioned earlier this year, you got your first experience with Midnight during the Cardano Hackathon event hosted by NMaker in Berlin. Could you tell us about your experience at the event and the project you built for that particular challenge?
Of course. So the event was incredible. To be honest, it was my first hackathon, physical hackathon, let's say. I've participated already in a couple of hackathons virtually in the past. But this one, I must be honest, it exceeded my expectations. It was insanely cool. I think the guys from NMaker did an amazing job preparing everything. Also, the Cardano Foundation and the Midnight team, they were able to deliver great challenges. It was a great vibe, amazing developers. The location was also very nice. I mean, I'm a big fan of the city of Berlin, but also the hub that they organized for the event, it was fantastically well equipped, and it was it was a wonderful event, to be honest. It was incredible. Brilliant.
And we're going to get into a demo of the solution that you built. I know from the previous videos and from the team on the ground that you were focused on KYC. KYC, or Know Your Customer, are fairly well-established use cases for Midnight and user zero-knowledge proofs. Could you walk us through the problem with KYC today, and what's the benefit that blockchain or using technology like Midnight offers versus, say, traditional methods?
We came to the event with a different idea, but at the place when we actually heard about Midnight and what are they building with their zero-knowledge encryption and all the use cases that are possible, we thought right away about KYC, because this is a problem nowadays. One of the main challenges is that you have to complete a lot of KYC nowadays for accessing any crypto asset or investment in general. And one of the issues is that you lose track of who actually has your data. And this is usually shared with a lot of third parties. So we thought it would be a great use case to leverage the zero-knowledge encryption of Midnight to create a service where you can do just one KYC, in theory, your last KYC, and be able to control access and revoke it as you wish. So this empowers the users and give them the ability and all the functionalities to do so. So this is Crescent, and this is the project that we built for the hackathon. And yeah, we were one of the winners, and it was incredibly fulfilling to build it and also to share this experience with the Midnight team.
Brilliant. Thank you, Vito. Let's jump into the demo. This is the important part of the show. Could you walk us through an explanation of the dApp that you built and talk us through the features and where Midnight was used as part of the overall proposition?
That would be my pleasure. So I'll first connect the wallet. We use the Lace wallet for this. The first thing that happens is a KYC process. So here I'll just put some test information. So for instance, test street 1, country Switzerland, and I submit the KYC. This part, of course, would need to be wired up with a KYC provider so that you can also give your biometrics, documents, etc. And once the process is all done, then this will take you to your dashboard as a user. And this is an example of how it would look like when you get requests from companies and services that you have been trying to use. and you can very easily see who wants to get access, who has access, who have been granted in the past, and who has revoked access at the moment. So the UI is very simple, and if you want to approve, you just have to approve it, or if you want to revoke a granted request, you can do so. We also built a very simple company view. So this view is from the user perspective, but this would be from the company perspective. And this is how you look like. If you want to create a new request, you just need a wallet address. You put it here, and then you create a new request to access the KYC data. And once it's granted, then you have access to this data that is stored on chain on the network, right, on the Midnight network. So this is how the KYC looks like. Of course, this we wanted to include also all the information in regards to picture, to passport documents, etc. But in theory, all this information comes from the KYC provider and is stored with zero-knowledge encryption on the Midnight network, and this is where the magic happens. So it's a very simple application, but yet very powerful. And yeah, we're looking forward to see how we can push this and go to testnet and actually, start leveraging all these amazing products for the ecosystem.
Great demo, Vito. Thank you so much for walking us through it. Very straightforward, but obviously under the hood and in terms of those connectivities with other parties, credential issuers and so on, still has some complexity behind it, but really exciting to see what you do next with it. Could you share with the audience any thoughts that you might have for other developers who are interested to build similar solutions or who are starting to build data protection solutions using Midnight or similar ZK technologies? What are some of the things you've learned along the way?
Well, to be 100% honest, zero-knowledge encryption is quite a challenge to grab and to grasp as a developer. Is quite complex. What's under the hood, what's the science and the maths behind it. So I think the Midnight team has done an amazing work in creating SDKs and all of this code that allows a very simple developer experience. So I think it was very pleasant to work with this network. I have experience with some Solidity for EVM and also for with Haskell and Plutus for Cardano. And to be honest, this was very, very easy to kind of get a good a good feeling of the network and what's capable to do. Among the great projects that were also presented at the hackathon, I personally really liked one that was about whistleblowing, which was also like using this zero knowledge to prove the identity of someone that is actually calling off some injustice, and not just some government area, but also for big corporations and scandals and these kind of things, and while protecting the identity of the person and keep the people anonymous. So, I mean, the use cases are insane. And I think this will definitely be a new era in the blockchain space. So I think this fourth generation of blockchains are bringing a lot of great use cases to that, the third and second generations are not able to deliver, since it's about transparency. But Midnight brings the best of both worlds, this transparency that is needed for compliance, but on the other hand, you also keep your privacy. So I think it's a brilliant network, and it's definitely worth exploring for our new devs.
Thanks so much for sharing that with us, Vito. Excited to see what you guys build next. Keep up the good work, and thanks so much for joining us on Unshielded today.
Thank you so much, Anthony. It was a pleasure.
Welcome to the podcast, Sricharan and Sam. Could you give us a quick introduction for our listeners? Please tell us who you are and what type of blockchain projects you've been working on.
Thank you, Anthony, for having us here. I'm Sricharan. I'm founder and CEO of Nucast. We are a media ownership platform. We focus on how the films or ebooks or any other type of media is distributed and owned. So currently in the space, even though we buy digital media, we don't own it. We only get a license to view. So we are redefining it, how it's done. And I have been a community member like 4 or 5 years in the whole crypto space on multiple blockchains. And we started Nucast 2 years back. It's working on 21 blockchains right now, different applications. We released Japanese IP, which is a 400 years IP. We released a very popular Ilaiyaraaja, a musician, film as well. Even some old Charlie Chaplin films. It's been a pretty interesting journey so far.
Brilliant. Great to meet you, Sharan. And Sam?
I've been in the Cardano ecosystem for 4 years now. I've been building a lot of open source project. I started on Cardano as a dev in Gimba Labs, and from there I've worked on many projects. And I currently lead the tech here at Nucast, and right now actively building on Midnight as well.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, and welcome. Earlier this year, you got your first experience with Midnight during the Rare Evo Hackathon event in Las Vegas. Sharan, can you tell us a little bit about your experience at the event and what's the project that you're going to present for the Hackathon Challenge?
So at the Rare Evo, this was one of my first hackathon presenting at hackathons. It was a super experience. Like before the hackathon was happening, we had workshops pretty well organized by the Midnight team. I really loved it. A few of my Web2 friends came who are like senior developers, and they also got involved. So I love how Midnight is creating all this ecosystem, doing all the workshops. It was pretty good experience. And even Rare Evo, we only did the NFT ticketing system. So when we were discussing with the Nucast did the NFT ticketing system. So the Rare Evo team was also like, can we check ID cards with zero knowledge proof? So I think that's a serious use case, right? Like ZKs will be the best way to verify identities. It has been super exciting hackathon with great submissions.
Great to hear you had a positive experience. Now let's get into the demo. This is the good stuff. Sam, could you take us through a quick tour of the dApp that you pitched at the hackathon and give us a little bit of explanation of how Midnight is featured in the particular architecture?
So this is a attribute-based encryption that we developed for the hackathon, and it completely relies on Midnight's private Oracle capabilities. So as you can see, like the IPFS hash of the content is available public. So all these data are stored in the public. So you can see the contract address and the current state of the content. So this is the how it looks for the user end. So as you can see, so in the Midnight's public state, we have the contents IPFS CID of the encrypted content, and then we have this persistent hash of the content secret key and the content state. And in the private state of Midnight, we store content secret in itself, which is a SHA-256 of the SHA-512 of the original content, salted with random local secret generated from Midnight libraries itself. So to put a content available through this architecture, people have to initiate a private oracle with by submitting the content secret key, and you have to prove your ownership. So for accessing the content, you have to prove your ownership of the content by interacting with the compact smart contract, and you can stream it from anywhere by proving your ownership by submitting your ZKPs and decrypting with Nucast attribute-based encryption.
Yep, and the whole idea behind the product New Auth, which we are continuing building, is we so in this existing AI world, like daily 34 million plus images are being generated by AI, but like 63% of the population cannot define what is real and what is not. We are in a huge global crisis. Like World Economic Forum also feels that in upcoming 2 years, fake AI, deep fakes and misinformation will be a very key issue all over the world. So using Midnight ZK technology and blockchain stamping compatibility, so we want to create an authentication layer for all content for both humans and AI models. So we know what is verified content. and which is not. So we can create a IP layer on Midnight with verified content. That was the whole idea behind it.
Fascinating. We always knew that IP, media, content management were going to be big use cases, but thank you so much, guys, for bringing that to life. And hopefully that's an inspiration to others out there. I'm really looking forward to see where you guys take it. Could I get some thoughts from you guys on what advice would you give to other developers who are thinking about building with ZK or who are looking at Midnight as a potential solution for problems? What advice would you give to them?
From my side, I feel like any applications which we even work with governments on forensics. So we did an application for them where we encrypt the forensics data and stamp it on blockchain. So what we see is private data is a very crucial feature, like having private state and public state, which is very well done in Midnight, how it's being. So focusing on more privacy centric applications, and I think that's the way forward. Even real world assets, I guess we have a consensus that any real world assets which will be launched in future will require ZK privacy kind of thing. So it's a great place to develop, and Midnight is hosting all of these amazing workshops. So do join. We do join. Like, I attend whenever I have a chance, even though I'm not a full-time developer. Sam, you have something to share?
I think like with ZKPs, it's also things doing things efficiently, and also like rethinking about how things are being done right now, and it's like a complete new way of doing things in a more private way. So I think adopting our minds to think like that, and that would help really in terms of like also development and also applying it for like various use cases.
Anthony, I and Sam were discussing about the rethinking concept. Like, it's not like how it's being done previously. With ZK, it's something which was never possible previously can be done. So that was something very fresh approach we are feeling. And we wanted to build something customer, like user facing, just for fun. So Sam is building something, I guess it will release in 4 weeks, where all blockchain people can engage with it, and it'll have a leaderboard system, which showcases easily how the ZK tech, because a lot of people, when we talk outside, they feel overwhelmed with zero knowledge and all of these terms and how it functions. So as developers, it's our one of our duty to create simple apps where they can use it, understand it in first, experience it. So that is something which I'm super excited, and once we have it, we'll share it.
Brilliant. Please do share it. Very excited to see what you're up to. And thank you for your regular participation and commitment to the community. Always appreciated. Thank you so much, Sricharan and Sam, for joining us today. Welcome to the podcast, Erick. For those who don't know you, could you give us your brief introduction and what type of projects have you been working on in Web3 so far?
Thank you, Anthony. Well, for those who doesn't know me, my journey with blockchain really kicked off during the Shell era, when Cardano launched its stake pool operations on mainnet. At that time, we were diving into what blockchain could do, testing some smart contracts, and even minting some tokens. That's when our light bulb went off, and we realized, okay, how can we use this technology to solve real problems for businesses? So we created Edda Labs. And from there, we focus on how to connect blockchain and businesses operations so the businesses can run smoothly and more efficiently. Since then, we started developing dApps, decentralized applications, for industries like waste management, renewable energy, and even government services. But one thing that we kept running into that these businesses were needing were privacy, especially when dealing with sensitive data. That's when Midnight really caught my eye. What I really enjoy about Midnight is how developer-friendly and modular it is. It let us work with really complicated zero-knowledge technology through APIs that abstracts all this complexity away. Plus, Midnight offers this great user experience that make our life really, really easy, and we can solve these dApps in a really quick way and safe way as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the introduction. So you participated in Midnight's first ever virtual hackathon. Could you share a little bit about what the experience was like for you?
Okay, well, participating in these first hackathons was really nice. When I joined the team, one of the things I appreciated the most was how much I learned, not just by building the project itself, but also getting in touch with the community and the DevRel team. The Discord channel was really active, with developers constantly sharing ideas, solutions, and feedback. It created a very collaborative environment where everyone wanted to help each other. Every Friday, the DevRel team get together and we get to ask questions and they respond really quick. And even we get to ask for one-on-one meetings where we can ask all the questions we want during 1 hour. Another really amazing feature during the hackathons was to get to know the documentation. So the documentation on Midnight gives you 3 examples where you can go step by step and really start from a beginning phase and then get to expert level really quick and then start building on top of that.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. And let's get into the demo of what you were building for the virtual hack. Now, in a first ever for the Unshielded podcast, you've sent in a pre-recorded demo. So there's going to be some mismatch in maybe the light or what Erick's wearing today, but we'll jump into the demo to help you guys go through and also to protect us from Peruvian Wi-Fi. So let's run the clip.
Nowadays, it is more common for people to work at home and interact with people all around the world. So interactions and communications, it's an essential part of our work day to day. So there is a lot of toolings and platforms that has been created as Mentimeter and Meter to enhance participation between coworkers. To promote collaboration, a key feature is anonymity. These platforms, the way they are built, it's really hard to enforce rules while preserving anonymous interactions, and it is also really easy to hack this anonymity by using manipulation through browser switching. To solve these issues, we are going to use zero-knowledge technology by using the Midnight blockchain infrastructure. We are also going to be able to do selective disclosure. So now, to demonstrate our solution, we're going to show a live demo where our first feature is a Q&A with single answer, but then it's going to come other features. They have Q&As with multiple answers, with moderators, multiple choices, polls, rankings, quizzes, and much more. So let's see the demo. So let's see if user A wants to answer that question. I think here we can see that it got uploaded. The message is, I think they are nice, and the user B got the answer as well. Now let's say that user B wants to delete the message. So let's delete. Again, a pop-up saying generating proof, so we're gonna have to sign a transaction. We sign the transaction, and then instance that generated proof gets a request to generate a proof. The message got erased, so now user A and user B sees that this question hasn't been answered. Let's say user B wants to create a new question. So user B, let's ask, what is your name? We create a question, we sign, and the process starts again. Okay, awesome. Now our new question just pop up and user A sees the same question as well. So to summarize the main features of the platform, we have seen that we have used Next.js with Midnight, reactive databases, reactive programming, proof server, reactive indexing, zero knowledge, and compact.
Fantastic. A really interesting demo, and I hope those watching in can really benefit from Erick's experience and a really useful example of data protecting technology. So Erick, thank you so much for that. And Erick, since the virtual hackathon, you've been continuing to build, obviously. Could you talk to some of the other demos or some of the other prototypes that you've been working on aside from the one we've seen today?
Sure, Anthony. So after the hackathon, we get to know how Midnight works, how these APIs connect with the dApps itself. So we decided to showcase this application to businesses in Brazil, in Peru, in Latin America, and they really like what they saw. So we decided to start building prototypes for them, and we used three use cases for specific businesses in Brazil. The first project is midnight balloting. This came from seeing how many businesses and workshops use platforms like Mentimeter for polling and feedback, but those platforms lack advanced filtering options without sacrificing privacy. So we are using Midnight to solve those issues. Another project we're building on, it's called Midnight Luggage. This project, we created this project because we had an issue here in Brazil where a traveler went to Germany and he got imprisoned because somebody swapped their luggage. And this is because there is some procedures in between airports where the luggage handling is not correctly placed. So we're using DITs and verifier credentials and Midnights to solve this issue. And the other one, it's regarding tokenization, which we are working along with a company here in Brazil in the waste management industry. And the current system is inefficient, and the waste pickers who play a critical role aren't getting fair compensation. So by tokenizing the waste receipts as NFTs and using Midnight as privacy features, we are going to enable these small companies to get a better piece of the cake in this business industry. So this is the three main projects we're working right now. We are prototyping with businesses, and we have already introduced these prototypes into the Catalyst fund run this time. So we hope by using these projects, we're going to emphasize how important Midnight, along with Cardano, can work together and solve real-world problems.
Amazing, Erick. Real-world assets, it doesn't get much realer than luggage and waste management, and balloting also a super interesting use case. Thank you so much for taking us through those. As we wrap up our discussion, do you have any particular guidance or advice to other developers who are interested to build with zero knowledge or who are considering data protection and privacy challenges where a technology like Midnight might be suitable?
Well, for any developers or teams out there thinking about diving into zero knowledge tech or building with Midnight, my simple advice would be go for it. Midnight is a perfect platform, and if working on projects where privacy is a big deal, like secure voting, anonymous service, and handling sensitive data, it sounds really complicated, the zero knowledge, but the Midnight team did a really good job on abstracting this complexity and giving you some APIs ready for developers to use. And at the end, it just summarizes on developers focusing on the business case and just using these APIs to speed up that development.
Wise words. Just dive in. Just give it a try. Thank you so much for your time today, Erick, and looking forward to seeing more of your work within the Midnight developer community going forward. And that wraps up our inspiring discussion with recent Midnight Hackathon winners. If you're interested in participating in future events, check out the list of Midnight Hackathons at midnight.network/hackathon. And if you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, thank you for listening to more exciting conversations in the world of blockchain and data protection. Unshielded is brought to you by Midnight. To find out more about how the Midnight Network is helping everyone to build a more equitable and accessible internet, visit our website at midnight.network. And remember to search Unshielded on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and be sure to subscribe so you'll never miss an episode.